History doesn't always vanish. It sometimes conceals itself in plain view. From Hitler's armored Mercedes to a bizarrely mysterious spherical tank sealed away in Russia, these long-forgotten war machines expose chilling truths the world tried to bury. So, join us for today's video as we're going to uncover the 15 unusual World War II Nazi vehicles that were hidden for decades. Number 15. Rare, 1938 Mercedes 540K. What kind of car is so rare, so valuable, and so historically loaded that someone hid it in a basement bunker during World War II and left it there for nearly 60 years? That would be the 1938 Mercedes-Benz 540K Sport Tourer. Sleek, powerful, and absurdly scarce, only two were ever made. As Dresden braced for Allied bombing in the war's final days, one of these cars was quietly sealed in a subterranean bunker to avoid destruction or seizure. And just like that, it vanished from public memory. The world moved on. The war ended. And yet, this automotive gem stayed frozen in time. When it was finally found in the early 2000s, dust-covered but nearly intact, it left historians speechless. It featured a 5.4-liter supercharged inline-8 engine, capable of reaching 110 miles per hour, an unheard-of speed in its era. When it was restored and showcased at the Michigan International Auto Show, it stunned spectators. It wasn't just a car, it was war-era history on wheels. Number 14. The Kugelpanzer. What kind of machine rolls in like a cannonball, looks like something from a sci-fi film, and vanishes from official records? That's the Kugelpanzer, arguably the strangest Nazi military vehicle ever built. Only one has ever been recovered. This bizarre spherical tank, roughly 5 feet in diameter and made from curved steel plating, was seized by Soviet forces during World War II. It's now housed at Russia's Kubinka Tank Museum. What it was built for is a mystery. Some believe it was for laying cable. Others guess reconnaissance. A few even suggest psychological warfare. No one really knows. The Kugelpanzer weighed around 1,800 pounds and had a tiny internal engine. That lightweight design only deepens the mystery. Was this a prototype? A failed weapon? A secret project that never got off the ground? Historians are still guessing. What we do know, it's real, it exists, and it remains one of the weirdest war relics. Number 13. Mercedes-Benz 770K. This is the Mercedes-Benz 770K, an ultra-armored limousine once driven by Adolf Hitler during World War II. Nicknamed the Grosser Mercedes, this big vehicle was built for intimidation as much as for travel. Over 20 feet long, weighing nearly 10,000 pounds, and shielded with bulletproof glass, it was a rolling fortress. In May 1945, U.S. forces found one of these monstrous cars abandoned on a railway flat car near Berchtesgaden, close to Hitler's mountain retreat. Despite the chaos of Germany's downfall, the vehicle remained in remarkably good shape. Rather than scrap or store it, the U.S. Army repurposed it as a staff car for a few years before auctioning it off in 1956. Eventually, it landed at the Canadian War Museum in Ottawa, where it's now preserved and displayed behind glass. More than just a high-end vehicle, it's a grim artifact that sat at the heart of the Nazi regime's leadership, a chilling remnant of a brutal history. Number 12. WW2 Recovery Vehicle. Is it still considered a tank if it has no gun and comes with a crane instead? That's the strange case of the WW2, one of the most baffling machines left over from World War II. Toward the end of the war, Allied troops stumbled across a Tiger I chassis on a roadside in Italy. But instead of the signature 88mm gun, this one had a crane and winch setup. It looked built for recovery work, but nothing like it appeared in German documentation. That's when the name WW2, or Recovery Tiger, stuck. Some historians argue it was modified in the field, possibly by soldiers desperate to clear mines or recover vehicles. Others believe it may have been an improvised experiment crafted from a damaged tank. No one's sure, but only one has ever been found. And the odd part? Its crane wasn't strong enough to recover another Tiger. To this day, the Berge Tiger raises more questions than it answers, puzzling engineers and experts alike. Number 11. Panther tank in a basement. Of all the things you'd expect to find inside someone's house, a full-size World War II Panther tank isn't exactly on the list. Yet in 2015, authorities in Heikendorf, Germany, uncovered an 84-year-old man's private collection, complete with a fully functional Nazi-era Panther tank hidden beneath his villa. Yes, in the basement. Alongside the tank, they found a massive anti-aircraft gun and other wartime gear. These weren't replicas. This was genuine World War II machinery, the kind you'd expect in a museum, not a suburban neighborhood. Local rumors claimed he used the tank to plow snow. Once word spread, the German army, police, and historians descended on the scene. Removing the tank wasn't a quick job. It took over 20 soldiers nearly 9 hours just to tow it out. The legal consequences were just as wild. German law strictly controls wartime weapons, and the owner ended up in a long courtroom battle. Number 10. Panther tank in Breda. Why would a Dutch city celebrate peace with a tank once built by the Nazis? That's the story behind the Panther tank now displayed in Wilhelmina Park in Breda, Netherlands. This wasn't a battlefield wreck. It was a gift. In 1944, after helping liberate Breda from German occupation, the Polish 1st Armored Division left the tank behind as a monument. It wasn't scrapped or stored, it was kept where the fighting had happened. The Panther itself was nearly 45 tons, 29 feet long, and equipped with a 75mm gun, one of the most feared tanks of the war. But in Breda, it wasn't feared anymore. Locals call it the Polish tank, though it was originally German, because it represents the freedom that came from their Polish liberators. Unlike most war machines sent to museums or stripped for parts, this one was turned into a tribute. Number 9. Hotchkiss H-35 tank. What would you think if you saw the remains of a World War II tank buried in the sand off a peaceful French beach? In 2008, near Saint-Cécile Beach, that's what happened when tides exposed the rusted body of a turretless Hotchkiss H-35. Just 200 yards from shore, the long-forgotten vehicle had been lying there since the 1940s. Experts believe it was left during the Dunkirk evacuation, a desperate, chaotic chapter in the early days of the war. The Hotchkiss H-35 wasn't a massive beast by tank standards. It weighed about 22,000 pounds, just over 16 feet long, and focused more on speed than strength. Used by both French and captured later by the Germans, it's unclear who left this one behind. Some say it was buried to guard the beach. Others think it was abandoned during retreat. Whatever the truth, when nature found it, historians stepped in. Number 8. The Borgward 4. How do you accidentally find a Nazi demolition vehicle buried beneath a modern city? That's what happened in 2010, when workers in Vienna uncovered something completely unexpected. A Borgward 4 almost perfectly preserved beneath layers of soil. This wasn't just any armored vehicle. The Borgward 4 was a remote-controlled demolition carrier developed by the Nazis during World War II. Measuring about 11 feet long and weighing around 8,800 pounds, it was engineered to deliver explosive charges and retreat before detonation. This wasn't theory, it was used in battle. The one unearthed had been sitting underground for over 65 years, abandoned and sealed off by post-war debris. Historians believe it was left behind during the conflict and buried as the city was rebuilt. Once recovered, military engineers began restoring it. Today, it's displayed at the Heeresgeschichtliches Museum in Vienna. Only around 600 of these were ever made, and most were destroyed in combat, making this find one of the rarest of its kind. Number 7. Amphibious Nazi ride. Which World War II vehicle had the audacity to hit water and keep moving like it was still on land? The VW Schwimmwagen, a bizarre yet brilliant creation from German engineers, part car, part boat. Developed in 1942 by Volkswagen and Porsche, the Schwimmwagen was designed to assist Nazi troops by crossing rivers, flooded roads, and rough terrain. It featured four-wheel drive, a sealed body, and a retractable propeller. On land, it could hit 50 miles per hour. In water, about 6 miles per hour. Over 15,000 were built, making it the most mass-produced amphibious car in history. Its compact frame and water-worthy design made it perfect for reconnaissance and surprise crossings. After the war, many were destroyed or scrapped, but a few survived, found in barns, garages, even rivers. Each rediscovered Schwimmwagen offers a rare look at the less discussed innovations of the Nazi war machine. It wasn't just an oddball invention, it was a war-tested hybrid that made more waves, literally, than most vehicles of its kind. Number 6. Trojan Tourer, hidden in a shed. How does a pre-war British car survive Nazi occupation untouched? The 1926 Trojan Tourer is a compact, reliable four-seater known for its simplicity. It wasn't a war machine. There was no guns or armor. Just 11 feet of steel and rubber built for daily life. But when the Channel Islands fell to German forces during World War II, civilian vehicles were either seized or scrapped. Except this one. Its owners hid it in a garden shed, buried behind tools, walls, and years of dust. For the entire war, it remained hidden, out of sight, untouched, and protected. No soldier found it, no one drove it. It just waited. When peace returned and the shed was finally opened, the car was still there, dusty but nearly untouched by time. Today, it's displayed at the German Occupation Museum in Guernsey. Not because it fought, but because it survived. A silent symbol of how everyday people protected what mattered most during an era built on fear. Number 5. 7KFZ, 254 escape vehicle. What if your only shot at escaping a brutal regime was driving an old Nazi vehicle across a deadly border? That's what happened in 1953 when a Czech mechanic used a forgotten World War II SDKFZ. 254 to flee communist Czechoslovakia. Originally designed in Austria as an artillery tractor, this unique vehicle was later armored and adapted by the German military. It could switch between tracks and wheels, making it perfect for rough terrain. After the war, one unit was left behind. That's the one the mechanic secretly restored. With his family on board, he drove the 6-ton machine through hostile land, past armed patrols, and over unforgiving terrain, all to reach West Germany. They made it, and the vehicle was nicknamed the Freedom Tank. Today, as of 2025, it's privately owned and fully preserved, still bearing the scars of its escape. Number 4. Classic cars hidden in a quarry. Could something of value really be hiding beneath rubble in an abandoned quarry? In France, it wasn't gold or weapons. It was wartime survival. In a rural area, a hidden fleet of World War II-era civilian cars was found deep inside a forgotten rock quarry. These weren't tanks or trucks. They were everyday vehicles, coupes, sedans, and delivery vans. During the Nazi occupation, locals feared their cars would be seized by German troops. So, they drove them into the quarry, lined them up in darkness, and walked away. The plan was simple: hide them until the war ended. But years passed, the war ended, and the cars remained, forgotten. When explorers rediscovered them decades later, the vehicles were still parked, rusted, caved in, tires rotted, paint long faded, but intact enough to tell the story. This wasn't just about saving machines, it was about preserving something normal during something horrifying. Number 3. Lorraine 37 L resistance armor. How do you hide a military vehicle from a full Nazi occupation? Ask the French resistance. Their answer, the Lorraine 37L. Originally created before the war as a light armored supply carrier, it was about 16 feet long, 14,000 pounds, and built to move ammo and equipment across rough terrain. But once France fell under German control, everything changed. German forces took over the factories, but not every worker played along. Some brave mechanics began building Lorraine 37Ls in secret, using stashed parts and hidden workshops. They managed to assemble and conceal multiple units right under German noses. After liberation, the resistance didn't just roll them out, they upgraded them. Machine guns were added, armor reinforced, and the 37L became a battle-ready vehicle used in post-liberation missions. It wasn't flashy or fast, but it was built in defiance, built for survival, built by those who refused to stop fighting. Few wartime machines carried such a quiet, rebellious legacy carved into every bolt and weld. Number 2. Long Bridge Factory Tunnels. Beneath one of Britain's most important wartime factories sat a hidden prototype, sealed away in pitch darkness for decades. The Long Bridge plant in Birmingham played a vital role during World War II, manufacturing military gear under constant threat from Luftwaffe bombing raids. To protect operations, engineers dug a vast underground tunnel system beneath the factory, part bomb shelter, part secret workshop. Nearly 80 years later, a group of urban explorers descended into the forgotten passageways and made a stunning find. A rust-covered Mini Clubman prototype still parked in silence. Its classic design, short wheelbase, angled grille, stubby frame, was barely touched, but unmistakable. That wasn't all. Scattered around were experimental shells, early bodywork, and strange, chopped-up frames, possibly failed test models or abandoned projects from the British Motor Corporation. Why were they left? Some say canceled plans, others think they were hidden from bombings. Either way, that rusted Mini didn't just survive, it now serves as a ghostly tribute to wartime ingenuity under pressure. Number 1. The WW2 Tiger Tank. How can a 57-ton tank just vanish from public memory and later reappear rotting beside a French road? That's exactly what happened with the WW2 Tiger Tank, one of the rarest surviving Nazi machines. In August 1944, during the Battle of Normandy, German forces abandoned this Tiger tank outside the village of WW2. With the Allies closing in, the crew fled. What they left behind wasn't just another vehicle. This was one of Nazi Germany's most fearsome tanks. For decades, it sat forgotten, half-buried, sinking into mud, scavenged by locals for scrap. Steel panels became farming tools, cables turned into fence wire. But historians knew its worth. Only a few Tiger Y tanks survived the war, and most were destroyed or lost. In the 1970s, thanks to historians and local officials, the tank was finally rescued and restored on the very site where it had been left. We hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon in the next one.